Python, GCSE computing. We're going to look at output and input today. Before we get to a computer, let's think about us. How do we communicate? Here are some of the ways I'd like you to consider, and we may talk about other ways later. We hear other people speaking, don't we? Yeah? And we also talk to other people. So the talking is outputting from us, so we're outputting in a form of speech, and inputting, we're using our ears to hear what other people say. Would you agree that when you speak, you're sending out an output from your body? Okay, that's good. It's one directional, isn't it? It flows out from you to the other person. Can you see that? Yep, that's good. An output is also sent out from a computer. When we talk about outputs, we mean the computer talks to us in the form of statements on the screen or visual pictures. Okay? You must have used an iPad or a computer. Sometimes it writes stuff to you, and sometimes you see pictures that you want to see, or that it brings out from the computer screen. So we've also sometimes got printouts from the printer, and that's a form of output too. Or an output could mean it outputs moving a robot arm. Can you see that? Good. How does a computer output? Can you think of some devices that it outputs on? That's right, it does output on a screen. What else? What else? Yeah, a printer. What else can you think of? Speakers, yes. Well done. There you go. There are 3 of the things you can do. You can output on from a computer. As we're learning about Python, a print function is used to output text to the screen and monitor. So there's the keyword print. It's a function because it's got parentheses on both sides, so open and close parentheses, and the bit in the middle, the cat sat on the mat, is printed out to the screen. So we always use a print function to output to the screen. Okay? And we'll learn about strings, which is what the cat sat on the mat is, and functions later on. In order to give an output, though, a computer program usually needs an input. But here's a bit of a dilemma. It often needs to tell you what that type of input it needs is. We'll go into that a little bit more, but I want you to think about that. Would you agree, right, that to hear someone else they need to talk? Yeah, that's right. You can wait for them to talk, but they may never talk. Do you think I'm right when I say that? Yeah? Well, they may not say what you want to hear. Yes, that's true. In order to get what you want from them, you need to speak to them first. Do you get me? So, for example, if I asked you a question, are you going to have breakfast this morning? You would say yes or no, wouldn't you? Yeah? Yeah. So you are going to have breakfast this morning, or you did have breakfast this morning, right? Good. So in a similar way, a computer program needs to ask the question in order for it to then deliver an output to you, right? Or in fact, it delivers an output to you, doesn't it? In order to get the input it wants from you, i.e. the answer from a person. That's usually so it can produce another output, so it can process it and produce another output from your input. How do you input something into a computer? Can you think of some devices you use to input into a computer? Okay. What do you type on then when you're at a computer? That's right, a keyboard. And where else could you put something into a computer? So what do you do on your mobile phone? Yes, exactly. It's a touch screen, isn't it? Yeah, you can move it up and down. That's right. Yeah, and select things. So here are some of the ways that you can input into the computer. Yes, you press your mouse, or you type on a keyboard, or you touch the screen. So an example of an input statement is as below. So here you've got input, and it's a function because it's got the two brackets, the open and the close, and here you're just waiting for an input. Why do you think we've got password on this side? Okay, we'll get to that. Yeah? Yeah. So here it's asking you for something specifically. So it's outputting to you, please input your password. What do you think it will need back from you? Yes, your password. Okay. So when it's on this left-hand side, it's storing your password inside this variable. It's called a variable. And basically, it's storing it like you use your brain to store. So anything that comes in, unbeknown to you, your brain is processing, or it's storing. It has to store it away to process it. And similarly, you get this password, which is a piece of memory that's written inside the computer called password. And it stores whatever you enter. Your computer needs to store your input before it uses it. It does this by using a variable, as we've spoken about it before. A variable is a piece of memory. When you write A equals 5 in maths, it means you place 5 in A. Similarly, in computing, it means exactly the same. It's placing that 5 inside the password if you had put 5 in to the screen where it prompted you to do so. So many times when tutoring students online, you ask them to get an input from the user, and they will write input. Please input your password. This is wrong. because it doesn't allow the computer to store it. The below is correct. So always remember to put password or a variable on the left hand side to store whatever you're getting in. We'll talk more about variables next time. In the meantime, can you think what variable means? What does the definition in English of variable mean? Starts with a C. Means it. And it starts with C. Thanks. I'll speak to you next time. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Thank you.